Hi everyone, Petrik here. Today's video will be about all the books that I finished in the month of June. So I will be reviewing 4 books that I managed to finish last month. And honestly speaking, June was not a good reading month at all. In terms of quality and also quantity, it's not a good reading month. I have only one really positive reading experience, and that is for a reread. And yeah, I will be talking about that more later in this video. But yeah, it wasn't a good reading month, and that's why if you have watched my July TBR video, that's why I plan to pull an ultimatum and make sure I finally get a new 5 stars reading experience in the month of July. But yeah, let's talk about all the books that I finished last month, and then maybe next week I'll be talking about all the best books and also probably the most disappointing books that I read within this year so far in the past 6 months. And yeah, we are already halfway through the year, which is insane. But yeah, anyway, let's get started. The first one that I managed to finish is actually an advanced reading copy from one of my favorite authors of all time, and it is All That We See or Seem by Ken Liu. Now, full disclosure, the Dandelion Dynasty is one of my top favorite series of all time. I will always praise that series endlessly. I just love everything about the Dandelion Dynasty, from the Grace of Kings up to the Speaking Bones. And because of that, and also because I love Ken Liu's collection of short stories and novellas, of course, I'm super excited about reading All That We See or Seem by Ken Liu, Ken Liu's upcoming new book. And what do I think about this one? Well, this is a good one. I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So this is a 7 out of 10, okay? When it comes to rating, this is 7 out of 10. But I think this book will have to come with a caveat. I know that many of you will dive into this one just like me, expecting something as epic, something as good as the Dandelion Dynasty. This is not that kind of book. This is completely different to the Dandelion Dynasty. This book, it is a near-future sci-fi thriller that dissects the topic of artificial intelligence, AI, generative AI, and then also reliance on social media. So it's something that is very much relatable to our current society right now. The story is being told mostly from the perspective of the main character, Julia Z, who is a hacker as well. And this book really dives deep into the topics that I just mentioned. So when it comes to relatability, I think this book is really good on that front. And also, this book, as I said, it is a thriller. So it is readable. It is very readable. It is easy to flip through the pages, and the book is not that big. I think it's about 100,000 words long. So it is short. But again, if you come into this one expecting Ken Liu's usual profound and also beautiful writing style, this is different. The writing style is completely different compared to the Dandelion Dynasty. I think when it comes to the writing and also storytelling style, this one is more reminiscent of The God Is Not Dead. I think that's the title of the short stories in The Hidden Girl and other stories. But basically, it was the short story that became the TV show Pantheon. So this one, the storyline and also the vibe very much resembled Pantheon. So honestly, when I was reading the short stories that became Pantheon, I did had a good time reading them. I wasn't mind blown at first, so I think because this one is a trilogy, so this is the first book in a trilogy, so there's a good chance that the second and the third book will dive into higher scope and also higher realms of existence, because that's what happened in Pantheon. So there is a really, really good potential. This book and also this series will end up becoming that way. But for now, I think All That We See or Seem is a good novel, but it is not a mind-blowing one. I still think that it's worth to read if you're fascinated and interested in these topics about artificial intelligence and also social media and basically technologies. If you're interested in those and also heist, hacking, and all that, I think it's worth trying All That We See or Seem. But plus, this is Ken Liu. I have faith that the next books will be even better than All That We See or Seem. Although, at the same time, I'm really not sure how the story can develop much further from what has been told in All That We See or Seem. But yeah, I look forward to finding out how that will happen. So yeah, I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars, a 7 out of 10. I still haven't written a full review for this one, but I'm behind. I'm so behind on writing reviews and also on doing video reviews on my YouTube channel. So I will have to talk about them in my monthly wrap-up videos, and hopefully some of you will watch it. But yeah, this was the first book that I finished last month. And then after that, I finished Endymion by Dan Simmons. So this is the third book in the Hyperion Cantor series. And honestly, I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion or not, but I'm quite disappointed with this one. I still end up enjoying this one overall, but compared to the first two books in the Hyperion Cantos, which is Hyperion and also The Fall of Hyperion, this one definitely has a decrease in quality for me. I gave this one, again, just like all that we see or seem, a 3.5 out of 5 stars rating. I don't know whether The Rise of Endymion, which is the final book in the series, will conclude the series magnificently or not, but for now, I did struggle a bit with reading Endymion. This book is very different compared to the Hyperion and also The Fall of Hyperion. But this doesn't mean that you can jump into this one without actually reading Hyperion and The Fall of Hyperion first. You have to read those two books first. I just saw some comments saying that you can just read Endymion immediately, and I'm like, how? How is that even possible? There's just so many context and also background that is being laid in the first two books of the Hyperion Cantos. But this one, it started off very strongly, and it revolves around Raoul Endymion, and also some familiar characters from the first two books definitely made a pivotal appearance for a while in Endymion, and I really enjoyed that part. I think the characters and also the storyline in the first two books in the Hyperion Cantos has really stuck with me. I gave the first two books, both of them, 5 out of 5 stars. They are absolutely incredible books, and I highly, highly recommend them. But for Endymion, as of now, I'm still not sure whether this will be a satisfying conclusion to the overall Hyperion Cantos series. I think the middle part of this one and also the entire adventure with the rafting, even though it contains some absolutely gorgeous imagery and also visual. Seriously, I think the part, I forgot the name right now, where they were rafting, this is contained in the cover art of Endymion. Oh my God, those were some beautiful visual in my mind. I really love seeing those aspects, and also, I don't think it's a spoiler, but you can actually see the Shrike in the front cover here. So I don't think it's a spoiler to mention that the Shrike also appears in Endymion. And every time Shrike appears, of course, it's some of the best highlight of the entire book. And what's here its role? Well, I cannot tell you about that, but I think Endymion, the downside for me for this one is that I do think that the adventure throughout these planets, I don't think they were as fascinating and also as high stakes to me compared to the Hyperion books. I think they were just okay, and I do think that it could have been shortened. The book absolutely ended powerfully though. I think the final sequence, the final section, and the final few chapters, those were absolutely incredible. And not gonna lie, it actually made me excited to dive into the Rise of Endymion. I'm not sure whether I would be diving into that this month or maybe next month, but let's see. Some of you know I'm currently working with Raymond Swanland on the Broken Binding edition of the Hyperion Cantos, and I'm really happy with how everything is shaping. But yeah, the books, I did struggle a bit. As it's still overall a positive experience. As I said, the beginning, like the first 25%, and also the final 25%, those were incredible stuff for me. But then the middle part, all of that, it was quite a struggle for me to get through. But overall, I still gave this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars rating. But moving on to the third book that I finished, this is a reread and also one of my favorite series of all time, and I just finished reading A Bloody Rose by Nicholas Eames. So I actually met Nicholas Eames when I was at Worldcon last year, and I had such a blast talking to him, but I have been a fan of his books before I even met him. Yeah, I read this one, A Bloody Rose, and also the first book, Kings of the Wild, all the way back in, I think, 2017 and also 2018. So yeah, it has been exactly 7 years since I first read Bloody Rose. And you know, I'm a huge fan of Final Fantasy, right? And I just love seeing Final Fantasy inspiration and Easter eggs being put in epic fantasy novels without it being too on the nose. I think if you are not familiar with Final Fantasy, you won't even realize that some of them are actually included in this book. But just for example, Grudge. Grudge is definitely an inspiration from Thornberry, and also there are other characters. For example, one of the main characters is Cura. Cura is probably inspired from The Cure. Yeah, the rock band The Cure. But Cura is also a magic in Final Fantasy franchise, which is the second tier of The Cure, the healing magic. But those are just some of the things that I like seeing. And then there's also the mention of the shadow of the Colossus. I'm quite surprised that I don't think I have seen anyone picked up on that Easter eggs, but that this is, of course, for the video game Shadow of the Colossus, the epic fantasy platformer video game. But beyond these Easter eggs, I do think that Bloody Rose, even though it is so different in tone and also in execution compared to Kings of the Wild, I still think that it's worth the read if you love Kings of the Wild. It is so much more serious in tone, but there are still so many fantastical monsters. The arenas are more in abundance in Bloody Rose, and the characters are definitely younger compared to Kings of the Wild. In Kings of the Wild, we are seeing older characters return for one last journey through the Hard World, but this one, Bloody Rose, the crew of Fable, lead by the Bloody Rose herself, where they are going through one mission to battle the Simurgh. And yeah, that's all I will say about the premise in case you haven't read Bloody Rose yet. But the book is being told to the perspective of a bard, not Rose herself, but a bard named Tom, a warrior bard basically, or an archer bard. But yeah, I really love Bloody Rose, although it is so much more less comical and humorous. There are still some humors being sprinkled around in Bloody Rose. I still smile and laugh sometimes, and there are also familiar characters from Kings of the Wild returning in Bloody Rose. But even though this is different in tone and also it is so much more epic in scope, well, I still end up loving this one very much. I love the band series, and to this day, even though it has been 7 years since Bloody Rose, I still await the final book in the series, The Outlaw Empire. I hope that book will be out soon. I don't know when, fingers crossed, next year. Hopefully this doesn't end up reaching 10 years before the third and final book in the series is out. But whenever it's ready, I will be reading and reviewing it as soon as possible. So if you haven't read the band series, I have written a full spoiler-free review of both Kings of the Wild and also Bloody Rose on Goodreads or on my blog on Novel Notions. You can check those out, and hopefully you can actually take a chance upon these novels. I still treasure them so much to these days. And finally, the last book that I managed to finish on the last day of June or on the first day of July, because I finished it in midnight. So this is actually for the sixth title in the Murderbot Diary series, but this book actually takes place before Network Effect. So this is the Murderbot Diaries Fugitive Telemetry by Martha Wells. And I don't know about this one. I think this is actually my least favorite book in the series so far. I only have one book left, and that is System Collapse. So I think I might actually finish that one within this month as well. But yeah, I'm not a fan of Fugitive Telemetry at all. I'm actually quite disappointed with this one. I just don't think this one is necessary to read. There were some aspects, I believe, in the flashback in Network Effect, which is my favorite title in the Murderbot Diaries so far. And this book is actually a detailed storytelling of that flashback that was mentioned in Network Effect. But I do not think we actually needed this novella. So yeah, this is a murder mystery, I guess, a noir Murderbot Diaries. But I don't know, I did not find any stakes in this title at all. Network Effect is precisely my favorite title in the Murderbot Diaries because of that instantaneous high-stakes story that I got from reading the early part of the novel, and it continued throughout the entire novel. And then also Murderbot, the development was great. It was really good to see how it developed as a character and how it became more human, even though it is a security unit and supposed to be emotionless. I got all of that from Network Effect, and also its relationship, Murderbot's relationship with the characters and the crew that surrounds Murderbot. I really love reading all of those parts, but I did not get all of those in Fugitive Telemetry. I just did not feel that this is a necessary title to read if you love the Murderbot Diaries. I still think that the first 4 books, even though I gave all of them 3.5 out of 5 stars, those were necessary to read before you read Network Effect. I did not feel that in the Fugitive Telemetry. So yeah, I'm disappointed with this one, and I hope System Collapse, which is the 7th and I think the last title available in the series so far, I hope that will be a great book again, just like Network Effect, or at least just like the first 4 titles in the Murderbot Diary series. So yeah, I look forward to reading that really soon. And those are the 4 books that I managed to finish last month in the month of June. And when it comes to manga, I finally managed to finish all the available chapters in the Black Clover series by Yuki Tabata. So yeah, this manga series is about to reach its ending. And I'm starting to feel quite fatigued by this one. Not because of the length of the chapters, but because I do think that the series should have ended in the previous story arc. If you read Black Clover, then you will know what I'm talking about. It is about the Devil's arc. And for this one, this final arc honestly, it kind of feels rushed. And also when I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but there is one section where the main character, Asta, gets transported to a place that is very reminiscent of Japan. This place hasn't been mentioned at all throughout the entire manga series, and it is just so sudden that Asta gets transported to that place to learn a new skill named Ki, just like Haki from One Piece, and also just like One Piece in the land of Wano. I really cannot differentiate them. They are so similar, and I cannot help but feel Black Clover definitely took that inspiration a bit too much, even though from the beginning it has always been reminiscent of Naruto in the first place. But anyway, I'm about to reach its ending. Overall, I do think that the manga series deserves probably rating-wise, it's probably a 3.5 out of 5 stars rating. It's not something special. Some of the actions were really good. I cannot deny that. But it's typical shonen manga. If you have read a lot of shonen manga, then I don't think you need to read Black Clover by Yuki Tabata. But yeah, that's it. Those are all the books and also the manga series that I managed to finish last month in the month of June. Do let me know what you think about all the books that I talk about in today's video. And of course, do let me know what were your favorite book of the month. As for me, not counting Bloody Rose, my favorite book of the month, it will probably be still Endymion. Yeah, Endymion by Dan Simmons. So yeah, that's it for me today. As always, thank you so much for watching and thank you for your support. Bye-bye. Lastly, I want to say thank you so much once again to all my patrons who keep on supporting me.